I was pulling the front bumper off of this old Studebaker, and this came out of the inside of the bumper, between the bracket and the bumper. It's crumbling absolutely to bits. I barely got it over here to the bench before it crumbled into dust. But I guess this was stuck to the inside of the bumper when the car was built, and it's been there ever since. 70 years now. This is 2026. This car was built in 1956. It says Studebaker Corporation 1539040, made in USA. I'm guessing that number's a part number. I'll have to look that up, but I'll bet you anything that's the part number. The first rough coat of body filler. I say first coat, but it's actually two coats. The first one I filmed going on, the second one I forgot to start the camera, but I let the first one cure up and then put a second one over the top of it to build it up a little bit more than what I had. So we'll let this cure up. I'll give it about an hour, then I'll come back with some 40 grit sandpaper on a sanding block and try to rough out the shape that I want in there. Feeling up and down, trying to find the obvious high spots and low spots. This part down here feels good. I've got this nice for a good rough shape. Obvious low spot here, where you can see it's a little bit darker green. Obvious low spot here. This whole area up here is one big low spot. So we'll put a good coat here, good coat here, good coat here of filler. Down here, just a skim coat. Just using my spreading tool as a straight edge here to see where the light's shining through, and that'll give me a better sense of the low spots and where I need to put a little more filler. You can see down here it's mostly fine, right? No light shines through. We're pretty good. Coming up, pretty good. Pretty good till we get right about here. You can see the light starting to shine through. That's just at the top of that vent. A little more shines through there, a little more there. Pretty much all the way up to the body crease, and then we're good again. So based on the light shining through, I'm gonna have to add another little dollop of filler right in here. Blocking out okay. I've got this one persistent low spot here, so I've got just a little more body filler to put on here just to get rid of this low spot, and we'll do one extremely light skim coat over the rest of it, and then the rest of the sanding is going to happen in 80 grit, and then we'll put some sandable primer on top of that. You're looking at what I hope is the final coat of filler on this fender. It's sanded in 80 grit. I think it turned out pretty good. I got rid of the low spots that were here. The low spots that were here are gone. Got rid of the low spot that was way down here. Got a couple of high spots here on the very edge. I don't think I'm going to worry about those. I don't think they'll detract too much, being that they're right on the edge. I'm really pleased with how this body line turned out here. I've got some storms rolling in tonight, and I might not be able to get to this for another couple of days, so I'm going to cover this in some primer sealer just until I can get back to it. I've made kind of an important decision. Anyone who's been following my video series on this Studebaker from day one, you know I've had kind of an internal struggle. Should I keep it as a patina car, or should I prep the car to be all one color? I sprayed some sandable primer over the primer sealer that I put down yesterday, and in the process of doing that, it occurred to me, geez, I've really had to replace a lot of metal on this car, and there's a lot more metal still to be replaced. That was a huge metal patch, as you remember there. That fender is gonna, or that rear quarter is gonna require a patch, a fairly sizable patch down there. This hood is absolutely mangled, and by the time I get done straightening this, welding the new braces in there, etc., it's gonna have to be repainted too. You may remember my passenger door video. I had to replace a huge chunk of metal in that passenger door, and the whole passenger door got repainted. So at the end of the day, there's just a lot of metal being replaced on this car, and it's gonna make it virtually impossible to retain any kind of original paint job or patina on it. I should also point out this car has had at least 2 resprays on here. You can kind of see on this door that lighter bluish gray, that's the original paint out of the factory. The slightly darker bluish gray, that was a repaint some point after that. And on top of that bluish gray, you can see that there was this sort of greenish gray that was done later. So 1, 2, 3 coats of paint. So the car's been repainted, I guess is my point. And to do another paint job on it really isn't that big of a deal. It's always going to remain a driver. I'm not shooting for a show car, but I do want it to be presentable. And I think the only way to do that is to put it all in one color at this point, since it's not going to be feasible to maintain the patina car look just because I'm having to replace too much of the metal. Once I'd made the decision that I was going to get rid of the patina on here and put a decent finish on it, of course I had to sand the whole thing down to bare metal, and then we used self-etching primer, body filler, high build primer, and we used a bunch of different size sanding blocks and different grits of sandpaper to block the whole thing out properly. And then we put this rattle can paint job on top of that. Now this isn't the final paint job that's going to go on the car. It's just something to have on there so it doesn't rust while I work on the other panels. This is actually a matte finish on here. I wouldn't mind having just a matte finish on here, but unfortunately, since I'm doing it in my garage, there's some just tiny little bits of dirt every once in a while and some imperfections in the way the paint laid down. So I am going to wet sand this out and buff it and make it look shiny, just like I did on the passenger side door if you watched that video. The point I'm trying to make in this video here is now that the outside of the fender is looking nice, I've got to do something about the inside of the fender. I can't leave it just looking like a rust bucket, so I'm going to go around with wire wheels, scrape off all the rust, use some rust converter, and then go over it with some Rust-Oleum black. I've still got some areas in here where there's some of this 70-year-old undercoating on here. I'm chipping that off little by little. As you can see, there's some on the top too. So that's the job today. Once I get that done, we'll go over everything with a wire wheel and wire brushes, and then we'll use rust converter and then Rust-Oleum black paint on top of that to make it look halfway decent anyway. In the previous clip, you probably saw this headlight bucket up in the fender, and it was covered in undercoating and tar and nastiness and funk. And to make it easier to get all of that cleaned off of there, I pulled the whole thing out of the car, set it on the workbench, and went at it with some basic scraping tools, including a flathead screwdriver, with the aid of some fire and a heat gun. And after I got the big chunks off, I went over it with some brake clean and some Scotch-Brite and really cleaned it up nicely. I also discovered it's a piece of aluminum, or as I say in the UK, aluminium, so it's not a piece of steel, so it doesn't need to get painted. So that's a bonus for me. I get to put it back in just like it is. This is a shot of the inside of the fender. You can see where that flange sticks up a little bit high in a few places. It's not 100% flush with the fender skin. So what I'm going to do is put a bead of seam sealer on that. But before I do that, I'm going to clean up with a wire wheel real good. You can see where some of the paint burned off from the welding. We're going to clean that whole area, all the loose rust, all the loose paint. Once it's clean, I'll shoot some self-etching primer in there, and then a bead of seam sealer on top of that. I got everything cleaned up pretty good. Mostly I used a Dremel with wire wheel attachments on the Dremel at high speed. That allowed me to get into all the nooks and crannies all the way up and all the way down. so strange. The undercoating ended up in the most random places on this car. Just splotches of it here and there. It's along the very top of the fender, not really anywhere else on the inside of the fender, except for it was all around that aluminum headlight bucket. And aluminum doesn't rust. It is the most bizarre thing the way they applied it under here. That rust converter cure overnight, and now we're going to shoot some Rust-Oleum flat black on everything. Here's what it looks like with the flat black Rust-Oleum paint on there. I cleaned it up quite a bit, I think. I like the way it looks. You can see I got that headlight bucket back in there the way it's supposed to be. I have some new rubber on order to cover this up. The piece that was here was just too weathered and cracked, and it looked like garbage, so I wasn't going to put it back on there with everything else looking halfway decent under here. That's supposed to be coming in a couple of days, and I'll get that on there. Here's what the fender looks like after it was wet sanded, buffed, and polished. I think I said before, it's not the final paint job that's going to go on this car, although it did turn out half decent. Once I get all the panels done, I'm going to have the whole car painted, but it's just something to keep on there from now to keep it from deteriorating and rusting again. Got a bunch of things to reinstall on here. We've got the vent that connects the inside of the car to the outside and the door that goes there. We've got the side trim that goes here, the stainless trim. Got the headlight bezel that goes there. We've got the side grille that goes there. Parking light that goes there. Turn signal light, whatever you want to call it. Now that I've got the fender done and painted, it's time to install the ductwork that connects the outer fender to the inside of the car, as well as the door that goes here and the mechanism that opens and closes the door. This is the original ductwork to the car. As you can see, it's completely rusted. What bits aren't completely rusted through are thin as paper, and this whole thing is basically garbage. Fortunately, they make a new one out of fiberglass. It comes with all the seals, the nuts and bolts, everything you need to get it installed. I pre-installed these seals with some weather strip adhesive, so we'll be installing that. But before we can install that, I've got to install the door and the mechanism, because I have to be able to reach up in there to get that installed. There's really very little or almost no front to back adjustment in this door. You can adjust it up and down, but it definitely needs to come forward. There has to be some forward and back adjustment to it. So this is what I'm bolting down and trying to adjust. It seems like there's plenty of up and down adjustment in it, but it's the front to back adjustment I'm having trouble with. All right, I solved the puzzle. The front to back adjustment is done with these inner screws, or these inner nuts that are on the stud there. You can push these forward and back, and that gives you some additional adjustment front and back. So the spring has to attach to that rod. Really no good way to stretch that up there. All right, you can see that baby's working just like it's supposed to work. very gentle not to tighten it too tight. These things are just fiberglass. I don't want to go cracking them or snapping them. But you need it tight enough so that the seals seal. Job is finished. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. Makes me anxious to get the rest of the car looking this good. Probably do the hood next. The hood is mangled. I've been kind of avoiding that project, procrastinating on getting started on it because it's so mangled. It's going to need a lot of metal straightening and body work. But for now, I'll just enjoy this nice, clean, restored Fender.